Stand by, stand by. Switching from human mode to dad mode. Initializing sequence. In 3, 2, 1. This is Dad Mode, the podcast where we navigate the chaotic realms of parenting, gaming, content creation, work, and hell, just life in general. We're diving into the challenges of raising kids in the digital age, from social media madness to navigating the gaming landscape. We're talking about it all, especially from a dad's perspective. Whether it's conquering the latest game, creating content that's more than just a hobby, or just trying to keep up with the ever-changing tech landscape, we're right there with you. We want to help you navigate this wild journey of parenthood and modern life, from balancing family time to managing your career and still squeezing in some gaming and content creation. It's all about fun, some dad wisdom, and a whole lot of dad mode. Now your hosts, Bearded Nova and more.
All right, welcome back to Dad Mode. Today we're going to learn a little bit about Bearded Nova and his journey in content creation and learn all about it. And maybe you guys can learn something from what he has. I don't like that at all. I don't know where I was going with that. All right. Welcome back to Not Down the Rabbit Hole. It's early. Give me a second.
This is what happens when we do it in the morning for you.
I'm just because I'm up at this time, and I'm usually at this point. I'm on the bus heading to work, and I'm usually so I'm just about there at this point. But I'm not in a meeting this early. I'm at work, but I'm not present mentally. All right. Welcome back to Dad Mode. Today we're going to be talking with Bearded Nova and asking all about his content creation and streaming journey. Bearded, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. As we were talking about a little bit before, we spun it around our recording time today. So, morning for you, evening for me.
Yes. It's fair. And I'm struggling a little bit this morning because I'm not used to doing this in the morning.
I was thinking this as well today. At some point, it's funny because I'm always in singlets or t-shirts to doing this because it's summer here. Obviously, it's, 1,000,000 degrees. And you're in jumpers at the moment. Hoodies, because it's winter.
Yep.
We're gonna have like a complete costume change at some point in this, where it was.
Yep. It's getting warmer for it's February, and next week is supposed to be in the 50s Fahrenheit here. And for me that's really warm. We're used to blizzards still at this time of the year. So
I don't know. I need to.
It's strange.
Yeah, I didn't know really hot. 10 degrees. Not that. That's as cold as it gets.
And for us, it's we're going on shorts in that weather. We're like, oh my god, it's a heat wave.
Oh, I'm not lying. It does get lower than that, but not that much lower. That's a pretty average low. Yeah, I didn't.
Average low. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Because I've always lived in this climate where it's not frigid. It doesn't usually get. I didn't usually go below 0 Fahrenheit where I am. Not usually, but I didn't expect it to get above a few degrees above that in the winter. So this is crazy. It's 50 degrees warmer than it usually.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Nope,
that's fair. I get that.
Anyway, all right. So let's talk about your streaming career. Yeah, now you've been streaming for a couple of years.
Couple of years now. I it's have to be 4 years. I've kind of lost track already how long it's been. I'd say 4 years. First 2 years though, maybe 2.5 years wasn't very serious. Let's say first 2 years wasn't very serious. The third year I started taking it a little bit more serious, and then the previous year. Actually, previous year now, I took it on completely seriously. That was a real change on how even actually a year and a half, I'll say, took a complete change, and I took it really serious. That's when TikTok and we met, basically, is when I started ramping it up more.
Yeah. So when you got into it, was why'd you get into it? Why'd you decide it was something you wanted to try out?
So we lived rural, very out of town, never had visitors at our place for the 7 years we lived there. We never had actually visitors come over to our house, maybe twice.
Yeah.
And back when I was living in the city before I met my wife, I used to go and hang out with friends on like a Friday night, Saturday night. We'd go hang out in a lounge room, play video games, order pizza, order wings in, etc. Just talk, have a good time. And then moving away, I missed that. I didn't have the experience of playing video games and sharing it with other people. And I was finding that I was up late and I was playing video games by myself. And I thought, well, let's just put that streaming out there. If someone might interact with me, that gives me that social interaction that I was wanting while playing video games. I actually started on Facebook too.
Facebook gaming?
Yeah. But that was just like my general Facebook profile. It wasn't even like it was simple just to set up, click, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no overlays, no script, nothing fancy. It's just, there's a screen, there's a camera. Off I went.
So you started Facebook. Did you go right from there to Twitch, or did you?
Yeah, straight from there from Twitch. So I think I maybe did about 7 or so streams on Facebook. It was a real basic thing. You just had friends and family pop by and hang out for a few seconds and that. And I'm like, this is not the place to actually do this. So I moved over to Twitch. It actually wasn't. Probably, yeah, as I said, that third year, I changed games up a little bit. I started playing Apex. Seriously. And I started meeting a whole lot of US creators. And then I started getting rating and backwards and forwards. So that's when I started realizing, hey, it's good to interact with other creators, because I actually never went on Twitch to watch anyone. So me streaming was my whole entry point to Twitch in general. It wasn't until a guy rated me, and then I'm like, hold on, I met some people there, and then I started rating other people and vice versa, that I actually was like, this is fun. I actually enjoyed this. I'm meeting people. This is something I can do. And I started putting in that little bit more seriousness, the cameras, the lights, etc. That's when I started taking it serious.
And at what point during this part did you decide that you need to have 400 cameras and all of the other gadgets and stuff that you...
So it wasn't until we met, basically. It started coming... Well, no, I was always buying stuff. That was the thing. I was always buying bits and pieces. Had a crappy Logitech C720 or something, just 720p basic Logitech camera was my first one. Actually, it was a laptop camera at first. Then it went to that. Then I brought a cheap GoPro, thinking I could get a better quality than the Logitech camera. Turned out, not really. And then the C920 that everyone has, and just buying and buying. I never got rid of the other stuff, and it wasn't until later on when I started realizing I had all this gear. I may as well just use it for more people, more cameras, more angles. Every time I looked at a camera, I'm like, well, it's just sitting there in a drawer. What am I going to do with it? At the moment, I know there's a camera right there in the background that I plan to do something with that I haven't done it with yet.
Right. Now I know one point you made really good use of all those cameras, because you did a 24-hour stream of your family.
Yeah, I did one subathon. I've done one subathon in time streaming, and that was testing how I could get away with using so many cameras. And in a technical sense, it was done with, I want to say 3 computers I needed for that stream. It wasn't just cameras. So I actually took my son's computer and set that up in the kitchen with another monitor and a microphone. And that was when the C920 was. Then I had a laptop in the lounge room, sit down so I could watch TV / eat my food. Going to have a laptop just sitting on the coffee table looking at me. and then I use Droid camera with one of my old Android phones on a little mobile tripod gimbal thing that I could pick up and then take with me, go outside, do what I wanted to do outside, etc. Come back in. Like if I needed to move anywhere, that's what I had. And then I think I had commands, I think, at one stage, so chat could change the thing. No, or maybe the command was just for me. I can't remember. I did set up commands, though, to change the camera inside the scene. So if I wanted to walk from one room to another, it would just, I could push a button, and by the time it transitioned, I was in the next room.
Right. How did you get everything piped into like the one feed, like the other machines?
And what's it? And I can't even think what the plugin's called. NDI. Okay. So I'd set up OBS on the laptop and the other computer as an NDI output, and then it was just sourcing that input back on the main computer.
That's very cool. It reminds me of I can't remember the name of the guy who's you always show me that is does these crazy subathons.
Pastilli.
Yeah. It reminds me of something like that, where like it's all encompassing. Very cool. Very cool. So
that's actually where the idea came from.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because he'd done a subathon that he went through, and he was sleeping in it as well, and it went for a few days, and he didn't have guests at the time, but he had, like, he'd go and have dinner with his wife every night, etc., but still played games and then have to sleep. The camera would just be playing while I was sleeping. I'm like, well, if I'm going to do a subathon, I want to be able to live my life. I don't want to do the traditional subathon that people do when they just sit there at their desk and order Uber Eats, and it's just the same, this view for 72, 48, whatever, how many hours they're streaming. That just seemed boring. I wanted to be comfortable. Yep.
So you mainly were gaming on stream.
Yeah.
I've noticed. So I know you did some sponsored streams too, which were very cool.
Yep.
How did you like sponsor streams? And I'm curious. People might be interested in knowing, like, how do you even get a sponsor stream? Yep.
Sponsor streams came from. So as we talked about, I'm mainly focused on games. And you've got your sponsor streams inside your stream elements and what's the other one? Streamlabs. Both of them, you should know that. You're sponsored by them. Or were done with gigs for them. And you get those gigs, but I never actually did any of them. I never liked the look of it. And it wasn't until I was hunting for free games. I was looking at how people get CD keys and that. And another creator put me onto a website that was Keymailer, and you could apply for games. And you connected all your socials. It looked at how you were, your average viewers, etc. on a platform, and then you would have eligibility to apply for games. And then the developer could go, "Yeah, I'll give you a key, or I won't give you a key." And it wasn't until I found another site, Lurkit, that did the same thing, but they actually showed you what they were looking for. They would say you need an average of 10 viewers, 20 viewers, 5 viewers to get a key to be eligible. And inside that, they actually had a paid version where they would do sponsor streams. So you'd also do the game you'd have a pitch an idea. You'd say do a stream for $10 an hour or something like that. And then the developer would say yes or no, or may come back with another offer, and then you go from there. So that's how I did sponsored game streams.
And how did those usually? Was there like a lot of? Did you have like any goals you had to hit, or you just kind of went out there and did your thing?
No, most of them was just do your thing. Put, stream for 2 hours, stream for half an hour. I want you to show this. That was it. That's all they wanted. Or at the end of the day, you just link your VOD to show that you had done X. It wasn't until Stuntfest, which is now called Jet something. They changed the name just as it got released. That it was a paid gig. I thought that was going to be cool. Usual, I'll play this game, and then the developer actually reached out and said, "Hey, we want to do something different. And within an hour, I was in a Discord meeting with their public relations person and also their community manager, which oddly enough was Twisty. You did an interview of him. It was another creator I met on TikTok, actually, was the community manager in an odd world that we ran into there. And I ended up getting paid to stream on their socials because they wanted to do, for Steam Fest, they were showing off their indie games. So they had a time slot. They had to do so many streams. Twisty was doing some, but he couldn't do particular hours. So like, hey, will you stream for us on this? So I actually did, their Twitch, their YouTube, Steam, Facebook, and something else all in one hit. It was cool. Then, I think I did a few streams for them after that and just kept doing a couple of streams here and there whenever they needed help.
That's cool. That's very cool. Outside of that, so at some point you also decided to start doing a gaming news podcast.
Yes.
Eyes On.
Yeah.
So what kind of led to you doing that, and what was your motivation behind that?
That was changing it up. I wanted to try and do more just chatting sections in my stream. But I couldn't figure out a way how I wanted to do it rather than just sit around waiting for people. I didn't like the idea of starting my stream because of the time I streamed and then sitting there waiting, because they say, do just chatting for a while, then move into whatever you're doing. I could sit there for half an hour and nothing really was happening. So I was like, I need to figure out how I can incorporate this into my stream. And that was when Eyes On Gaming came in, which was short news for TikTok, very short, 30-second headlines, brief overviews of news in the gaming industry. And then I will put that into an hour-long podcast that was recorded live on Twitch as one of my 3 streams a week. So that was my just chatting stream, basically. And it was purely just to mix up my content, how I was doing content. I think I did a couple of sponsored streams with PC Gamer, I want to say. One of the gaming publishers as a content creator, just covering different events, the Future Games Fest for summer and winter.
Yep. So you've done live streaming, you've done, the daily kind of news podcast, you've done a regular podcast like that. You're obviously doing this podcast. What format do you like the best? Like the daily, the streaming, the podcasting?
Liking this format's the best for us now. That's just time wise, it's a lot less stress. We've talked about it with guests in the past. It's way more easier on us, and time management. It's like, cool, I don't need to do this by set. I've got, we've got times that we have to have things done by, obviously, but it's not done within 24 hours. Trying to make 3 times 7, 3 TikToks a day. It can be hard. It can be hard. And there's people that do that. They sit there and they'll record, all their TikToks for a week over like 4 hours on a Sunday or something. That's hard too. Like we got TikToks, we got the shorts, but AI's taking care of that. And AI couldn't do what I needed for TikTok for my own personal channel. For podcasts, it's brilliant. But for gaming, it's unless you're playing some of the big ones that actually have AI. I think your Fortnite, your Call of Duties, you can actually use AI to scan your games for your kills or whatever. But it's not going to find the good content in either. You know what I mean? That's all about marking and pulling that from Twitch. And if you didn't mark it, then you got to skim through the VOD, and then maybe you didn't actually have any really great moments. Okay, now I've got to come up with something original. Then, it's a lot. This is way easier.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Now, you haven't been streaming too much as of late. Is it something that you think you want to do more of?
I do want to stream again because that was my time to game. I don't really game anymore. That being said, the last 2 weeks, I've gamed one night just with friends, but not streaming. But every time I've hopped at that computer and it is this time of night, I'm sitting down at the computer and I'm like, cool, I'm going to play, games with mates for a few hours. The first thing that goes in my head is launch OBS, click live. That's what I want to do, but I just haven't done it yet. And I think that's where I will. I will start streaming that one night a week that I am gaming, and then seeing where that comes from. I think I like the game that I'm playing at the moment, but it's hard to stream at the same time. Yes and no, especially streaming with you're playing with a group. It's hard to talk to Twitch, plus talk to the group, plus pay attention to the game, I guess. It's one of the, that being said, I've talked to you about Skyrim VR with all the, the 300 mods that I've installed. Still haven't played it, but that's a possibility. I think that would be a great series, actually.
I think it would. I really do think it would. I really feel you on like the gaming and having that default reaction of just going to stream, because I've been gaming a little bit with some friends offline lately, which I don't do a lot of. I do a lot of solos. Yeah. So every time I sit down and game, I'm like, I should stream this. And I don't like that. That's my default.
That's exactly right. I'm actually one of the guys that's I've been playing games with. He's actually started getting into streaming. And part of me actually wants to just and just unload on him everything. I know, because I know he's okay. You're doing it incorrectly. He's he's not affiliate. He's grinding for affiliate, but he's streaming at 1080p. Well, no.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I know it looks great, but you can't do that. Your viewers can't. Things that I didn't know when I started streaming. You know what I mean? I did the same thing, but giving him advice on, hey, hold off doing that until you hit this goal. Then you can do this, because your viewers, this is your viewers that you got now. Hey, there's only so many people that can watch a 1080 60 stream at this kilobit rate. So if they don't have the internet connection, they're not going to watch you. I haven't done that to them yet, but that's what I want to do at the same time. It's just, I got to help you.
Yep. Yeah, because there's a lot to learn, and it's when new people start, they think that thing, right? They think that they have to do this.
I got to go out and buy a million, different devices and the best of everything. I don't need to buy the best of everything. There's always a workaround.
We should probably do an episode sometime just on the gear stuff, like
get the gear
what you really need and what you don't. But anyway, so we're talking about content, in the streaming and or gaming and wanting to stream. At some point for me, it became all about content. What about you? Like,
yes,
you have a period of time where like you weren't even like a human. You were just like a content creation machine. Like that's all you saw.
You wake up, you go to work, and then half the time I was trying to record TikToks in the morning before work, and then think about TikToks and content while I was away from work. But at the same time, I wanted to check on my socials, making sure I'm replying to comments and putting out a tweet. That was before Twitter, did scheduling, which was great. But trying to keep everything without scheduling and on top of it was a lot, because it's just wake up, work, come home, content, dinner, content, family, sleep, strict. It was a robot. I was a robot. I know, looking at how much my wife hated it and how much she mentioned all the time, but she hated how invested I was getting into it. And I would try and explain that to her, like, hey, no, this is why. Looking at it now, it was wrong. It was bad. I'm lucky I still have a wife.
I 1,000% agree with that, and my wife would 1,000% agree. With on my side. So it's difficult because you get really into it. I don't know why it's so easy to get addicted to, but I think that personalities like yours and mine, it just becomes something that we feel like we have to do. So what kind of got you past that point? Because like you're not streaming as much now, or you haven't streamed in a little while. Like, was there a point where you're like, I'm just gonna stop doing this so much, or whatever?
So it partly started with depression. I started getting a bit depressed with work and how work was going, and actually I didn't notice it. It flew into content creation. So while I was real happy at work and everything was great, I'm doing 120 posts, a month, etc. Like just hitting everything that I need to do. Content out the arse. That's when I started bringing on, eyes on there. Everything was going. And then I kept eyes on going, but everything else started to dip off as I wasn't happy at work. And I think work called me in. That was around time when I quit. Before I quit, I said, look, I'm not happy with this. They turned around and said, well, we're not happy with you. And they actually tried getting me in trouble for TikTok, saying, you can't do this. I think there was a TikTok where there was a logo of the business somewhere on my computer screen or something, and no one would have picked it up on it, to be honest. Or I was in a work shirt, they didn't have the work logo, but they could tell from the top, just the checker pattern, that was a work shirt. Or you're sitting in your car, etc. I'm like, well, no, this is done at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not during work time. Yes, I'm still in my work hours close. Like we said, finish work and then you're straight into it. But they'd done that, and then I was like, okay, looking at my analytics. Because obviously when you're getting heavily involved, you're looking at analytics. I pull up my analytics. The more depressed I got with work, I could actually see where my decline in hatred for work and my decline with content creation happened at the same time. They both tapered off, 120, 90, 60, 30, 15. And I'm like, And I actually took that to work. I went into the general manager and my manager, sat down and would because we had this talk about that being a priority over my own work. And I went away thinking, no, that's not the case. And then I've looked at these analytics. So I came in the next day with my analytics into a meeting. I'm like, you want to say there was work? No. Work has caused my numbers to drop. This is where I'm not happy. This is what's happening. This is when I am happy. And
Right.
So that happened. I changed work. So I was a little bit focused on changing work again. Still keeping eyes on gaming going. And then I had to move. Wife was pregnant. That was fine. I still was persevering through, dealing with all that. Wife moved. Babe came early. Never came back to it. I pulled apart the stream. The setup, it all got pulled apart. It took weeks to put it all back together. And then I didn't have the time to actually come on and click live. So everything just put on the back burner. Put on the back.
Do you? I'm sure there are aspects of it that you miss, and you talked about every now and then you want to kind of get back into streaming a little bit more.
Put on the back.
Do you see yourself ever getting to the point where you're doing as much as you were doing before?
No. Oddly enough, only if I won the lotto. You win the lotto. And my wife actually even said that the other night. I almost fell off the chair. She goes, if we win the lotto, she goes, I'm not working. I can stay at home with the baby full time. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I said, I don't know. I would have to do some work to keep myself happy. I couldn't just sit at home. She goes, you could just do your streaming full time. Put on the back. No, was that my wife? Where did this?
She was possessed.
She was possessed for a second. Put on the back.
And all right, so one part I didn't really touch too much on is the social media stuff. Now you've mentioned how you're doing a posting, and I know that you got really into the quote unquote the way you're supposed to do things, right? Posting everywhere and all this stuff. So what do you find that was more disruptive, the actual streaming schedule, or doing all the stuff outside it, with posting on social media and responding and all that stuff?
Put on the back. It was more the social media stuff. But then I knew that was more important to grow the stream. So then it was okay. I got to do the social media stuff more than I can stream, and it never took away anything. But put on the back times where I'm like, I just don't want to stream tonight. I just want to sit there. I need to record this. I want to edit this, etc. I want to make graphics look something. That happened, but put on the back. Then I got a little bit smarter as well. Well, obviously, why don't I just use my stream? Put on the back. You don't need to record on your computer. Download the VOD from Twitch and then just cut the crap out of it. Like, there's your content for the week. If you're doing, 3-hour streams, that's 9 hours of raw footage. If you cannot get, 20, 30 clips from 9 hours, then you probably shouldn't be streaming. I'm just going to put it out there. You probably shouldn't be streaming.
Yep.
Put on the back. Working that a little bit smarter, I guess.
Yeah. And so I know you also did YouTube as well.
Little bit, not much.
How did you like the process of making
Put on the back
videos versus streaming versus podcasting?
Hated editing videos. Hated it.
But you do it all the time now.
I know I do it all the time, but it was the daunting process of trying to learn editing properly.
Yeah.
You can watch a dozen YouTube videos and stuff, and it still didn't help me at all. It actually wasn't until I got into After Effects and wanting to make stuff for my overlays in Twitch that I was playing around, and you got to key stuff, keyframes and that, and add effects and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how keyframes work. This is how I add different effects. I'm like, hold on, this is exactly the same as how you do it in Premiere over. So then I took editing way more serious and easy because I'm like, I finally get it. I finally understand what I need to do. Put on the back to make content and how to edit. It wasn't such a, sit down and look at a screen for 6 hours trying to edit something. Then I could realize I could edit fast and I could make things better. Yeah. Put on the back.
When you were kind of at the point where you were the most engaged in streaming content creation, did you ever think,
put on the back,
like, look and say, hey, I could actually make a career out of this?
No. Put on the back. Put on the back. In a way, we all want to do that. There's a party. You can't say no. There is a party that would love to do it because it's something that makes you more happy than the job that you're currently doing. Usually it's the case. Put on the back. But I was very realistic with replacing my income. I've got a big family. I've got plenty of kids. I need my income to support them. And that was not something that, unless I'm in that top 1%, I'm not hitting those numbers. Put on the back. For me to get to that point, realistically, it's like winning the lotto. You've got to have that moment where you go super viral really nowadays. It's the only way to really get places is to get lucky with something super viral to send you on that momentum to go further. Put on the back. And then for me, it was the time. Like when I was streaming, we talked about that. We both streamed those hours. For me, where I am, it's a way less dense amount of people actually available to watch my stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very, very stuck to a local time. Where honestly, I feel like if I was on your side, over here, it might be faster and easier to grow because there's so many people still around at that time. For Australia, the amount of people watching in Australia, New Zealand at 10 o'clock at night for a week is not that much at all. And I can say that because I see people do videos about how they refresh their stream to get transcoding. Because sometimes apparently if you're affiliate, you don't get transcoding. Never had that issue.
Heard that.
Never had that issue down here. It's always just been fine. And for me, you know, then I'd have to relook at my audience. Okay, cool. What is peak time? Where is peak time in the world? You know, that's Eastern Europe, basically. So just Switzerland, Sweden. I'd pitched myself in a demographic in an area already. Like, I didn't want to change again.
Yeah. Yep. What's something that you wish you had done differently during that period of time that maybe you didn't know it, and you say, hey, if I had done a little more of this, a little less of that, it might have been
I would say getting into the social media side, getting into shorts, probably building a presence in shorts way before streaming. I would do that instead. And to be honest, it's when I get more back into this outside of just dad mode, it will be that. That is the way I'm coming back into it, is going to be doing TikToks, posting to YouTube shorts like that. When that starts ramping up, then you're going to probably start seeing more streams of me. And that's what I tell anyone to do. Just get into that, you know, build up a couple of followers. As I said, there's people I know on TikTok that I'm still, you know, way past them, and they're going hard at TikTok nowadays. I do nothing, and I still have more followers than, you know, other people that I know. And that's where you can build. You build that big presence, so you can then go, hey, look, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. People are following you. People will come over. They want to see you live. Yeah. You know, there are people on my TikTok when I have done TikTok lives that have actually said, I love it when I can catch you on TikTok live, but I'm never available when you stream on Twitch. I've had that as, you know, people that would just purely meet me on TikTok live, but I wanted to meet me on Twitch, but couldn't.
Yep. Last question I have for you. What advice would you give to anyone who's thinking of getting into content creation or streaming? Like, what kind of things should they think of before they get started?
How does it affect your life now? You know, what's your priority? What's your goal? How does that affect how you currently live? This is probably my biggest one, is work that out. Is it going to impact X, Y, Z? Sleep, money, relationships. That's the first thing I would figure out first. And then second, don't blow your money. Unless you got a great job and you got the great disposable income, sure, buy the Canon mirrorless, the Sony mirrorless, you know, the stupid expensive mics, multiple stream decks, monitors, studio lights, etc. You can do all that stuff. But if you don't have that money, don't spend it, because it's not going to help you. It's really not going to help you increase your viewers or quality in any way. Just use what you can within your budget and slowly invest back into it. I'll add and say one thing. I didn't actually buy a stream deck for ages. I used the mobile stream deck app for a long time, because I did want a stream deck, but I couldn't justify it. And it wasn't actually until I got my first big donation on Twitch, which was 500. One viewer gave me 500.
Wow.
Yeah, it blew my mind. Like that, I think I got that before I got a Twitch payout. It was that early as an affiliate. Well, obviously I got Twitch pay. No, they didn't do it through Twitch. They did it through Stream Elements. So it was straight into my PayPal without having to wait the 90 days at the time with Twitch. That's when I actually ran out and bought a Stream Deck. Yeah. But then I used both a Stream Deck and my phone, so it didn't really help.
There you go. All right, Bearded, that was great. If you want to catch more Bearded, you can check the description of this, and you can find all his links to all his socials there. And we'll catch you next time on Dad Mode.
You've been listening to Dad Mode. Our passion is navigating this wild journey of parenthood and modern life. From balancing family time to managing your career and still squeezing in some gaming and content creation. And no matter what the women say, they will never be able to pry the controller out of our cold, dead hands. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Dad Mode Podcast. And we can be found on every podcast site at Dad Mode Podcast. Y'all be cool. See you next time.